And so I want to talk to you today, what Brené Brown calls the anatomy of trust. And it really comes from a situation that happened in her own life that pushed her to then dive in and look for the stats and look for the understanding and look for the data, because she is a researcher. And she dives in very deep to get as much input as she can. And then after she's a scientist, so she gets all of her data, and then she goes and looks, what are other people saying? And when after she had done all of her research, and in this topic, she looked at John Gottman, who is another researcher, well-known researcher, and found out this is very common amongst people. And life is all about trust, whether you're trusting the people around you or whether you're trusting your own self, you with yourself. First has to start with self-integrity, being able to trust ourselves. And so every meaningful relationship, whether it's personal, professional, or even internal with ourselves, it's built on this one powerful silent question. Can I trust you? How many times in your marriages, oh my gosh, the question that's going on in my mind, right? When I'm thinking through something, or I'm questioning something, or I'm battling something, really the question I'm truly asking is, can I trust you? Am I safe here? But the deeper question that most people never ask is, can I trust myself? So we're going to break down the anatomy of trust. And this is just a framework that Brené Brown uses. It's not theory, it's not fluff, it's real, it's practical, it's applicable. So let's jump right into it. So she does it with a really cool acronym. It's called BRAVING. And so I want to walk you through this acronym. It's B is boundaries. R is reliability. I know wives are looking, are you going to be reliable with your husband? Right? That happens often. Reliability. A is accountability. V is the vault, which I'll explain in a little bit. I is integrity. N is non-judgment. And G is generosity. Boundaries, reliability, accountability, vault, integrity, non-judgment, and generosity. So I think it's going to be really valuable for all of us getting an understanding, because a lot of us, we can say the words, I trust you, or I don't trust that person. But what does that really mean? Because if I go to my husband and say, I don't trust you, you're not making me feel safe, he has no idea on what that actually means. That's just a statement. And so I think she brings some really good clarity as to, now I can say, instead of saying, I don't trust you, I can actually say, I don't see you doing what you say you're going to do. And I don't see it on a regular basis. And reliability builds safety. You see that? Now I'm not just saying, I don't trust you. Now I'm saying, what is the thing that is making me feel like I can't trust? So boundaries. Trust starts where clarity begins. Like, I can trust you if you're clear about what's okay and what's not. And also if you respect my boundaries too. And what I mean by that is I talk about it in a way of saying, do you honor my no? Do you honor my no? So R, reliability. You do what you say you're going to do, not once, but consistently. Reliability builds safety. And what I mean by that is, say my husband says he's going to make dinner and I walk out and he hasn't made dinner. Now I'm put in a position where I need to run and catch up, right? Now I'm saying, in my mind, I'm saying, I can't trust you. But what's actually happening is I'm not seeing you be reliable. And so I feel like I have to carry that. So there's A, accountability. And this is a tough one for a lot of people that I talk to so many people every day, and I'm running into this often. Accountability, when you own your mistakes, you apologize and you make it right. No defensiveness, no blame shifting. And one thing to highlight here that I've seen in my experience is, I've noticed it more with men than women, but it's like there was something missed. And instead of, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, right? And we're saying, I did this because, or this happened because. And now we've just excused it, justified it, but we haven't actually owned it and apologized and made it right. And so I can trust you when you actually say, oh my gosh, my bad. I messed that up. I'm so sorry. And how can I make it right? Or I will make it right by doing this action. Vault. This is huge. This is a huge one for me. You hold my story with respect. You don't share what's not yours to share. You don't trade connection for gossip. And what I mean by connection for gossip is that sometimes to hotwire a connection, we go, oh, so-and-so is saying, and I'm going to process or vent about it. And that creates some connection or even commiseration, right? That right there is a trust break. It's not my story to share. A couple of things that I've learned in my life about trading connection for gossip is if I need to process something, I must go to a person that loves that person, not somebody who's just going to echo my irritation, but somebody who will push back because they love both of us. And also, I've been thinking about this as before I need to process with somebody else, I'm going to first get into a place of gratitude. Why do I love that person? What's good about them? What's good about what they're presenting? Or what's good about that task at hand? What's positive? I'm going to get into gratitude. And I find when I'm in gratitude, I can share more constructively. And conversely, the vault, when I have somebody come to me and maybe they're talking about a business and they're saying, oh, they do not have their crap together, and this is the way that they're not measuring up, I lose trust for the person who's telling me that story. Because I'll tell you what, if they're talking about somebody else's business that way, they're probably talking about mine too. So it's interesting when we're talking to other people that we can be breaking trust with people without even realizing it. Integrity. You live your values even when it's uncomfortable. That's what makes trust sustainable. And integrity for me is I keep my word to myself and my word to others. It means I show up when it's hard or when I don't feel like it. I'm on time. I'm putting in the work. One of the biggest things with integrity is keeping my word to myself. If I commit that I'm going to take an action step, it's not I'll try, it's I'll do. And I see so many people that they've so lost trust with themselves that they're having a hard time trusting others, because you first have to be able to trust yourself. In order to lead others, we have to be able to lead ourselves. In order to trust others, we have to build trust within ourselves. And non-judgment. What does that mean? It means I can struggle in front of you without being shamed. You can hold space for imperfection. I was talking to somebody in the last week that the little things that we can end up in judgment on and we don't even realize it. Like, for instance, I was talking to a leader of mine that I had gone on to this one person's site and I was looking for their lives that they do to look at what they do for lives. So I was trying, and I realized that Instagram lives don't stay. They're not there. And so I missed it and I can't get a replay. But all I saw was this shirtless dude and just like one after another after another. And she's like, that's a judgment. And I'm like, no, that's a rule I'm following because I don't go outside of my marriage to look at somebody else, right? But there's a judgment in there of like, why is he on there without a shirt? You know, there's these little things that are judgment that we don't even realize. And most of the time it's because we're operating out of our core values. We're looking for our core values to be met, but our core values contain within them rules. And so now we've got a set of rules that sometimes will not only force upon ourselves, but upon others as well. And each person has their own map. Each person has their own core values. Each person has, somebody has modeled life differently in front of them. And I'll tell you what, a whole world of pain will be lifted off of you when you're able to say, oh, that person's just living by their map. They're not coming against me. They're not doing something wrong against me. They're just living by their own map. So I can struggle in front of you without being shamed or judged. You can hold space for my imperfection. G, the last one, generosity. You assume the most generous interpretation of my actions, words, and intentions. You give me the benefit of the doubt. So I'm always going to assume the good. I'm going to assume the positive part. Will you find sometimes you're wrong and there was negative intentions? Yeah, but more than most, especially the people you've allowed close to your life, is to assume the most generous interpretation of their actions, to be looking for, they didn't, like, what did they really mean when they did that thing that bothered me or hurt me or threw me off? Because most people are not waking up in the morning like, I cannot wait to go hurt Amber today. She's my best friend. It's like, I'm totally in on hurting her. Nobody does that, guys. Like, nobody. If not, they're really goofed up and it's time to kind of walk away from that one, right? But let's flip the script as well. You also have to assume the most generous interpretation of your own actions. So many times we're sitting there beating ourselves up before others can beat us up. So many times we're self-judging. So many times we're not even assuming generous interpretation of our own actions. We're like, oh, you screwed up again. And we give ourselves a title or a name or an identity around that. So that's the anatomy of trust. It's how we built trust with others, but one step deeper. I'm going to click this off real quick. Can you trust yourself? Because if you can't, you will constantly second guess, self-sabotage, and play small, no matter how much external success you chase. So let's flip that braving inward for a moment. I'm just going to shoot these off to you. So, boundaries. Am I honoring my own limits? Am I saying yes when I mean no? Reliability. Do I keep my promises I make to myself, or do I keep breaking my own word? Accountability. Do I take ownership for my patterns, or do I blame my circumstances? You know, I got upset because of this circumstance. I got upset because somebody else said. Nobody can make you upset but you. Vault. Do I allow myself to feel what I feel, or do I lock my truth away? Integrity. Am I living in alignment with what I say matters most to me? Non-judgment. Can I ask for help without shaming myself for not having it all together? Generosity. Do I give grace when I fall short? See, self-trust isn't some vague confidence boost. It's the foundation of your own internal leadership. If you can't count on yourself, it literally affects everything. Every braving block applies inward first. So Brené shares in her video about her daughter's teacher that kept a marble jar in her classroom. When the class made kind, respectful choices, marbles were added. When the trust was broken, marbles were taken out. This visual is like everything when it comes to trust. For me, I was like, yes. You know, the trust isn't built on grand gestures. It's really built on those small moments. And any of us married people actually know that. It's did my spouse do what he says he's going to do? Is my spouse keeping integrity of self? Is my spouse owning what his actions are? Like, so from everyone in the room, I think we can all apply that and realize that trust is built in the very small moments. So a marble jar friend is someone who shows up for the little things. They check in when they don't have to. They celebrate your win without making it about them. They remember the hard day on your calendar. They keep your confidence. They say, I messed up, and they mean it. Marble by marble, trust is built not once, but over time. And here's the truth. Every time you show up as yourself, you're adding a marble too. Every promise, or showing up for yourself, as yourself, for yourself, you're adding marbles to your own jar and being a better friend to yourself. Every time you show up for yourself, you're adding a marble too. Every promise kept, every moment of self-compassion, every brave decision that aligns with your values, that's marble, marble, marble. So here's the questions. Which braving element do you most need to rebuild in yourself? Where have you broken trust with yourself or someone else? And what would repair look like? And I'll tell you what, just a side note on that, repairing relationship, when done well, actually builds a deeper friendship, a deeper relationship. It's actually very positive. Conflict and confrontation and disruption can actually be a trust building activity. I know we're all like, I don't want to do that, right? But actually going through that can build a greater level of trust. What's one marble jar moment that built or broke trust in your life? What's one intentional marble you'll put in someone else's jar this week?